The Nile River. For 3,000 years, it was the heartbeat of the greatest civilization on Earth. Every year, its floodwaters brought rich black soil to the delta. Every year, Egypt grew wealthier, more powerful, and prouder. The Egyptians did not merely depend on the Nile. They worshipped it. And then, one morning, it turned into blood. What happened in Egypt during those extraordinary weeks recorded in Exodus chapters 7 through 12 was not simply a series of natural disasters. It was not an ecological chain reaction, or a streak of bad luck. It was a judicial verdict, delivered by the God of Israel against the most powerful nation, and the most sophisticated religious system, in the ancient world. This is the story of 10 signs and wonders. And it begins with a question. When Moses and Aaron first stood before Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go," Pharaoh did not just refuse. He asked a question that set the terms for everything that followed. "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice?" Exodus 5 verse 2. It was not a polite question. In the Egyptian worldview, Pharaoh himself was a god, the living son of Ra, the sun god, and the earthly incarnation of Horus. His entire kingdom was sustained by Ma'at, a sacred Egyptian concept meaning truth, order, and cosmic balance. To maintain Ma'at was Pharaoh's divine duty. It was his reason for existing. So, when a foreign god made demands through two elderly Hebrew men, Pharaoh's question carried real theological weight. He genuinely wanted to know, who is this Yahweh? God's answer was the 10 plagues. Exodus 7 verse 5 states the purpose plainly, "The Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord." This phrase, "that you may know that I am the Lord," echoes through the plague narrative like a refrain. Scholars call it the yadaʿ formula, after the Hebrew word for know. It does not mean knowing facts about God. It means being forced to acknowledge, through lived experience, that He alone is real, and He alone is sovereign. The plagues were not random. They were not cruel. They were a structured, systematic answer to Pharaoh's question, delivered against the very gods he trusted. To understand the plagues, you must understand what Egypt believed. The Egyptians did not separate the natural world from the divine world. Every element of life was governed by a deity. The Nile was Hapi. Frogs were sacred to Hecate. The cattle were the living bodies of Hathor and Apis. The sun was Ra, the supreme god, the father of the Pharaoh, the source of all light and life. When God declared in Exodus 12 verse 12, "Against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments," he was announcing a cosmic courtroom. And he was both the judge and the prosecutor. Plague 1, the Nile turns to blood. Hapi, the god of the inundation, could not keep his own river pure. Khnum, the ram-headed guardian of the Nile source, could not protect his domain. The lifeblood of Egypt became death. Plague 2, frogs. Hecate was the frog-headed goddess of fertility and birth, believed to breathe life into every newborn child. Now her sacred animal, a symbol of blessing and resurrection, multiplied beyond control, invaded every home, and died in rotting heaps across the land. The goddess of life produced a blanket of filth. Plagues 3 and 4, gnats from the dust, swarms of flies. When Aaron struck the dust and gnats appeared, Geb, the earth god, was humiliated in his own domain. And the Egyptian magicians, who had mimicked the first 2 plagues through their own arts, finally reached their limit. "This is the finger of God," they confessed, Exodus 8 verse 19. Their magical system, built on invoking the gods, had collapsed. Plague 5, the death of livestock. Hathor, the cow goddess, Apis, the sacred bull of Memphis, believed to be the living soul of Osiris himself, the animals of Egypt's state religion died in their fields. Not one Israelite animal died. The theological distinction was undeniable. Plague 6, boils. Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess who both caused and cured disease. Imhotep, the deified physician. Thoth, god of wisdom and magic. all helpless. The magicians could not even stand before Moses. Their bodies were covered in sores. Egypt's entire healing tradition had failed. Plague 7, Hail and Fire. Nut, the sky goddess whose body formed the protective canopy over the earth, could not stop destruction from raining down from heaven. Seth, the god of storms, was a bystander. Plague 8, Locusts. Min, protector of the harvest. Osiris, god of vegetation. Renanutut, the cobra goddess of crops. The land was stripped bare. There was nothing left. Plague 9, 3 days of darkness. This was the theological climax of the first 9 plagues. Every morning in Egyptian mythology, Ra, the supreme sun god, fought the serpent Apep in the underworld to ensure the sun would rise. 3 days of absolute, tangible darkness meant Ra had lost. The most powerful god in the Egyptian cosmos had been silenced by a word. What makes the plague narrative so remarkable is not just its power, it is its architecture. Scholars have long recognized that the first 9 plagues are organized in 3 groups of 3. In each group, the first plague comes with a morning warning at the Nile. The second comes with a warning at Pharaoh's palace. The third arrives with no warning at all, a purely punitive strike for rejecting the previous 2. With each cycle, the stakes escalate. The early plagues were nuisances. The middle plagues destroyed Egypt's economy. The final plagues dismantled the sky, the crops, and the sun itself. At the same time, Pharaoh's heart hardened. For the first 5 plagues, the text says Pharaoh hardened his own heart. But from the 6th plague onward, God hardened it. The Hebrew uses 3 distinct words, Zak, meaning to strengthen, K with makron, meaning to make heavy, and Kaza, meaning to make stiff. Together, they describe not a puppet on a string, but a man whose own repeated choices formed a pattern that God then confirmed and used for a greater purpose. What purpose? Exodus 9 verse 16 answers directly, "For this very purpose I have raised you up, that I might show my power in you, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth." Pharaoh's defiance became the stage on which God's glory was displayed, not just to Egypt but to every nation watching. Everything builds until midnight. The death of the firstborn was not one plague among 10. It was the verdict after 9 warnings. In one night, God passed through Egypt and struck the firstborn in every household, from the Pharaoh's palace to the lowest servant's home. Only the houses marked with the blood of a lamb were passed over. This was the final theological statement. The Pharaoh, the divine king, the son of Ra, the living God, could not protect his own heir. His divine lineage was severed. His Ma'at had collapsed completely. The gods of Egypt had been exposed, one by one, as nothing. And Israel walked out free. The plagues were not simply history. They were not just a lesson for Egypt. They were, as Exodus 10 verse 2 declares, a story meant to be told to every generation, that you may tell in the hearing of your son and your son's son how I dealt harshly with the Egyptians. But there is something even more remarkable. 3,000 years later, the Apostle John, exiled on the island of Patmos, saw visions of the last days. And what he described looked strangely familiar: water turning to blood, darkness, hail, sores on the bodies of men, frog-like spirits gathering the nations for a final battle. The 10 plagues of Egypt were not only a judgment. They were a preview. In our next episode, we will follow these 10 signs forward through the centuries, to the book of Revelation, to the 7 bowls of God's wrath, and to the question of whether history is heading toward a final, cosmic exodus. The story is not over. It has only just begun.